Hello, everyone. My guest today is Corina Ludwig. She's an accomplished senior executive advisor and board member with more than 30 years of success in business tech and advertising. Now, for the past 21 years, she's led Function Fox, a global leader in time tracking and project management. She also sits on the board for Women in Science and Tech and the Innovation and the Advanced Technology and Entrepreneurship Council. Corina, are you ready to take us to the top?
Let's do it.
Man, so you were one of the SaaS OGs, 21 years, huh?
Yeah, it was before dial-up around that time, broadband. People weren't even doing online banking. So, to have a SaaS company at that time, it wasn't even SaaS. It was like ASP.
Now, what is your story in terms of the founding team at Function Fox? Were you one of the founders or were you brought in afterwards?
Brought in before it even was an idea. So CEO founder is Mary Lynn, and she's still around today. There's four of us. We all started 20 years ago, and we built it for ourselves. She had a Suburbia Studios, which was an ad agency, and thought, we really need something to track our time, manage our projects. And there wasn't really anything in the market. And so we built it for ourselves and thought, hey, this is actually pretty cool. Put it out to a few other people, and they said, yeah, this is really great. And so we built it into a business. It was not on the onset to go, hey, let's build a big business. It was build it for yourselves, which is always, I think, the best. And 21 years later, we're still selling globally. So
what happened? Where did it go from an internal project where you're eating your own dog food to to new people going, wait, what is that thing you just used? I want to use that time tracking too. And you actually spin it out on a separate cap table and launch it.
Yeah. So how it worked was we were looking for ourselves. We did lots of research. We called around. We really couldn't find anything. There was Clients and Profits at the time. It was installed, really expensive. And so we called about 300 agencies in the US and said, hey, what are you using? And people were like, oh, Excel, pen and paper. And we're like, there's a need here. And it's working for us. And so we shared it with a few of our local agencies, and they're like, this is really cool. We would use it. So we're like, okay, do you guys want to try it? And beta tested it. And then we thought, you know what, there's something we've got here. So we did a launch sort of locally and said, hey, anyone interested, come and see. We had a huge turnout. And from there, we thought, okay, let's build a website and they'll come. I mean, that we thought no demo, no trial. We'll just launch a website and they'll all come and buy. And no, that wasn't the case at all. So yeah, we built a demo and slowly started to put it out to people that we knew and got them to beta test and give us feedback, and built in sort of feature by feature as people needed things and requested them. And we've built, onto that ever since. So officially launching, it was about a year later where we said, okay, let's actually build a team and bring it together. And it was very organic, and it's been organic, for 20 years.
And there's a lot of folks listening right now that are building like tools inside of the company that they're stuck at that make their life easier. And they might go, I want to spin this out, but they don't know where to start. They don't know if they should give their current employer a part equity if they spin it out. They don't know if the employer actually owns part of the tech because of their employee contract. They don't know how to necessarily fund it per se. How did you work through all these things as you guys spun Function Fox out of the agency?
Yeah, we didn't know ourselves, right? It was just kind of trial by fire, and we didn't know about really a cap table and how to build it. We went out to friends and family. We have more shareholders than we'd wish to admit. And so we spun it out and kind of said, okay, well, if it's working for us, and we built all of the tools that we need. So at the time, there wasn't like the Salesforce or the HubSpot. We built all that stuff internally. So today, to run our business, we use nothing but our own internal tools. So not just Function Fox, but we have our own SMS system, sales management system, CRM system. We do all of our own billing and tracking, and anything that we need for our system, we built. And so there's 20 other products that we probably, or maybe even more, that we actually could sell. And it's just a matter of staying focused. So yes, we could do all those other things, but we said, you know what, this is the bread and butter. This is what we believe in. And this is what's, making an impact in other people's lives. So that's what we've stayed true to.
How much did you bring in that first year from friends and family and all that to really like kick this thing off? I mean, are we talking like $100,000 or like $1 million?
No, not even. So it was $500,000, 500,000 from friends and family. One was a big chunk from sort of one investor that was really a family friend. And we haven't raised money since. So for 20 years, we've really, based on our own profits. We're a very profitable company. We're very different than a lot of other companies out there. They're, 35 million or they're in their third round or whatever it may be. We've never done that. We've just kind of said, okay, this is where our growth is going to be this year. We're profitable. We want to have this as a lifestyle business. And if we need more injection of cash, we raise revenue in a different way. So we'll put out, price increase, or we'll do a feature, an add-on, or do upgrades, that kind of thing. And then we'll build naturally and organically. And that's worked very well for us and very different than a lot of other players in the market.
I love profits. I love capital efficient founders. I love getting creative with getting cash from customers instead of VCs. When you say very profitable, what does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, you can say, okay, there's, the big players out there and they're playing with big money. We're in the smaller pool. We're small fish in the big scheme of things. And we're a Canadian company, which is also very different. We're playing in a US market as a Canadian subscriber. So profitable for us means huge dividends for all of our shareholders every year. They're like, wow, if I got these kind of dividends from all the other investments, I'd be doing really well. So they've won their money 20 times over in some cases.
Wow.
So, really, really happy for them. And for us, it's a great business.
Can you put brackets on that? I mean, again, we don't want to disclose information you can't disclose, but over the past 21 years, have you paid out more than, 10 million in dividends to all your investors, would you say?
Oh yeah, definitely much more than that.
More than 100?
Yeah. You know what? It's private, right? But
okay, I won't push if you can't share it, but that's incredible.
It's been, people have done extremely well.
One of the questions I imagine they ask you before you're about to give a dividend payment is there a way to use this in the company to keep growing the company? How do you decide whether to pay out millions and millions in dividends versus use it to build more tech internally?
Yeah, good question. And so we look at CAC ratios and we look at, where is it going to be really profitable? And so we can say, okay, we'll spend X on marketing. What are we going to get in return for that? And, if we have a big idea or we want to launch something new, we'll set that money aside, obviously, to do that. Yep. And then pay the rest out in dividends. But we've been paying dividends ever since we've been profitable, which was year 4 or 5.
Wow. Okay. I love this story. Do you remember what in 2000, take us back to that first year in revenue or first year in business. Do you remember how much revenue you did in 2001? How small was it?
Oh yeah. It's not even, it's not even worth mentioning, honestly. We did projections in our first year and, we were really optimistic. We thought we'd do really well. And I think we hit those projections maybe in year 15. So we were, we were a bit out to lunch in terms of our projections. But, looking back, it was in the first couple of years, it's can we make payroll? Can we hire people? Are we going to keep this company afloat for another month or two? Right. So it was a lot of hard work. And, I was putting in close to 20 hours a day and just making it work. Right. And our whole team was. And so we've come a long way.
Wait, how optimistic were you guys with your bright and shiny eyes? In 2001, you were we can hit this much revenue this year. How optimistic were you?
Yeah, we were millions, right? We thought, oh yeah, we can do that. Build the website and they'll come. And,
5 million, no problem.
No problem, right? So, it's been an interesting journey, a really good learning experience, and happy that we're still around 21 years later, and we've got a bright future. So.
I love that. Tell me more about the team. How many folks full-time these days?
So we're 18 strong right now, really senior team. So large majority of the senior members have all been there for 21 years. Then there's a good chunk that's over 15. More than half the team is over 7. And pretty much everyone's over 5 years. And we just hired 2 new people.
Wow. How many are purely engineers?
4.
4. And we haven't talked about Function Fox pricing, but is the pricing large enough where it makes sense to have an internal sales organization, or do you not have quota carrying reps?
Yep. So we have a sales team, we have a service team, marketing is one, and then the dev teams of our engineers, and they do cross-platform, so QA and development and SEO and that sort of stuff as well. And so we have an internal sales team, and it does make sense in terms of pricing. We have a free product, so there's a lot of users there. And then it starts at 35. Well, we have a light product for $20 a month. That's just for one user, freelancers, sort of gig economy. And then we've got a classic, premier, and in-house. And they start at $35 plus $5 for each additional user, and then $50. So it's really priced affordably and really can grow with users can grow with the system.
You probably have a massive range, but if you look at your sweet spot sort of average, would you say it's maybe a 3 or 4 person team and $100 a month, or what would you say your sweet spot is?
Yeah, sweet spot's about 10 users. So we've got 1 user companies all the way up to 500 user companies. So there's some big name players in there, banks, large banks, and in-house marketing departments for our in-house groups. A lot of the larger clients I can't mention online, but you can look on our website and there's some there that you can see. And so the internal marketing departments, they average about 10. So the sweet spot is anywhere between 8 to 25, with the bulk being at the 10 user, but it does fluctuate from the 1 user up to the 500 users.
Got it. Yeah. So 10 at what, $20 a month, you're talking like 200-ish per month, but you have some that are way bigger and some that are one person gig economy sort of workers.
Anywhere from like 1,000 to 4,700 sort of, annual revenue from those.
Who do you enjoy more? The gig worker who it's a stay-at-home mom, you're changing her life with your software, or like the bank with 10,000 users?
Yeah, they all have their pluses and minuses.
You're a politician. The diplomatic answer.
The one user companies, we really have a big impact on their business, going from paper or something, that's ad hoc. The middle ones where they really know their business and they want to improve their business, that's where we make the biggest difference, and we can actually double their profits, which they've shared with us, which is really cool. And then the larger ones, they've gone from lots of different systems. We bring it all into one place, and they see huge improvements in terms of profitability and efficiency. So, when you see the payoffs that they're getting, that's where the real impact comes from. But, they're all fun, helping them all in a different way.
Yep. Now, you told us that you got your first 100 customers. You said you cold called locally agencies and got them signed up, and you had a big impact in their lives. How many customers are you serving now today?
Well, thousands. So we won't give exact number, but thousands, and over 100,000 users. We're in about 120 countries, with the largest bulk being in the U.S. So it's it's not small meat and potatoes.
Yeah, no, this is great. And it's always interesting to think about like small versus large. I just think about it like happiness or not, right? There's plenty of people with a $5 million company with $1 million in profits per year, and they're super happy and they don't want to be big. You guys seem like you're really enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah, we love it. I mean, I love coming to work every day. The whole team does, right? I think it speaks volumes in terms of the tenure of the staff. We've even had, people leave the company over the years, and we've had 10 or 11 employees ask for their job back. So that, always rings true to me that we're doing something right. Yep. And we're not pushed by big investors that are looking for, this or that. We kind of say, this is what we want for our customers, and this is what we want for our staff. And if it works for the company, it works for our team, and it works for the individuals, it's a yes from us.
A lot of people, I don't necessarily agree with this, but a lot of people will try and hit sort of bootstrap founders and go, oh yeah, but you can't grow really fast without raising VC. How have you guys done the past 12 months in terms of growth rate, percentage wise?
Yeah. So, after 20 years, it's hard to grow double digit numbers, right? But we've seen growth since we started. And even in the recession, even like .com, like we launched right after the .com bust. And even with COVID, we've seen profits every single year. And I don't think there's a lot of companies that can say that. So very proud of that.
Yeah. So when you say hard to hit double digits, you're talking like you've seen pretty consistent growth the past couple of years between maybe 5 and 10%.
Yeah, we've seen growth since we've started. I think the later years have been, more stable growth. Yeah. And COVID obviously has had an impact, but, we're happy with our growth every year.
Churn, many people would argue churn is really hard to manage in this space. What do you guys see in terms of churn these days?
Yeah, so it depends. If you look at the gig economy, there's lots of churn there, just, on the one user side, because their projects are very unstable. So that raises the numbers up quite a bit. If you look at the companies that have been with us for more than 3 months, then the churn's very stable, right? So it's under 9%, but it fluctuates depending if you're looking at the really small ones versus the big companies.
Under 9% annually or monthly?
Annually.
Annually. That's great. Look, that's great. I would say that's world class for this price point. That's great stuff. Now, do you have a playbook to sell your time tracking software and then upsell one of these other 19 products you guys have built internally? Is there real expansion revenue there or no?
We don't sell those other ones internally. We use them for ourselves, and we've really stayed focused. There's opportunity for growth there for sure. If we want to, branch out and take those features and, have another team develop those. But for us, we've just stayed really focused and small and stable, and it's worked for us as instead of trying to be everything for everybody.
And today, as you look for, to grow in 2021, what would you say the top growth channel is? It must be very low touch because you only have one person on marketing.
Yeah, the marketing, it's subjective, right? You can put yourself out there on Capterra and Software Advice and some of the other channels. I think the channels have changed over the years for sure. It used to be, direct mail, and we still do direct mail these days because no one else is doing it, right?
Yeah.
When we have to be creative with our marketing dollars, you do things that other people don't do so that you touch them in ways that others don't, like, outbound calls. That's something that we still do and works very well for us. If you look at some of the other players in the industry, they're doing a lot of digital advertising. We're not. So you just do it in a different way. And then our outbound sales team is amazing. They're true salespeople, but not in a salesy way. They're just really helpful and consultative and advisory, and helping people not just use the product, but actually help them increase their profitability and efficiency in their company.
Yeah, you're growing, you're doing it in an economically efficient way for both you, your shareholders, and just happiness of you and your customers. Are you competitive though? I mean, do you see a path where this can, get above, call it maybe 15 million in terms of run rate in the next year or so? Or is that something where you don't really focus on?
Oh, yeah, no problem at all. It's just a matter of, where do we want to be? So for us, money hasn't been the driver. Of course, you want to be a profitable business, but at the end of the day, it's having a good, happy business and having happy customers. And that's really what's led us to where we are today, 21 years later.
I feel like I'm searching for a needle in the haystack. I'm dying to find a company that has broken $1 million in revenue per employee, right? So for you guys at 18, that would be 18 million run rate. I assume you guys are probably higher than the average we see across other companies, which is about $150,000 in revenue per employee, because you're not backed and you're very profitable. But yeah. I'm rooting for you. I hope you can get. Awesome. I hope you can get to $1 million in revenue per employee quick and just keep supporting all these folks.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, Corina, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
Never Split the Difference.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Not at the moment.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool?
OceanFox.
Besides your own?
Good online direct communication, Zoom in the last year, I guess.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
As many as possible.
Yeah. What is it usually?
Ranges. Some nights it's like 2 or 4, and other nights it's 15.
Wow. Okay. That's a big range. That's maybe the biggest range I've heard. Okay, great. And what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos?
Married, 3 Great Danes and a cat.
Wow. Okay. So no kids. And may I ask how old you are?
I think you're at your 5 questions, but 46.
46. Okay. And then wrap up here. Take us back 26 years. What's something you wish you knew when you were 20?
Wish I would have said yes more.
Say yes more. Interesting. Elaborate a little bit.
Well, I think, I was 20, right? I was 25, and it was like, you say no and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. And you're uncomfortable and you're like, I don't know if I'm in the right space. And you second guess yourself. I think if you say yes and be uncomfortable, you can get a lot further than I think I would have at the time. So I'd say yes more.
Guys, Function, Fox, one of the OGs in the SaaS space, time tracking. They built it to serve their own agency needs. Only raised $500,000. This was back in 2001. Quickly grew to 100 customers. Now serving thousands of customers and over 100,000 users. They pay on average, call it $200 to maybe $500 per month, depending on the size. But again, done this all profitably. Get this: they've paid out over $10 million in dividends over 21 years. I wish more SaaS companies paid out dividends. What a crazy concept. Corina, we're rooting for you. Thanks for taking us to the top.
Sounds great. Thanks so much for having me.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers. They try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company, or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them, and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.